We're going to talk Leicester-Chelsea with Ian Stringer of BBC Leicester. They're playing tonight again in the Premier League, obviously, as the race for the final two Champions League spots really heats up. They also met at the weekend in the FA Cup final, and Ian Stringer was on commentary for the BBC. Have a listen.
This is where they want the ball. Tillemans from distance, right for it. Yeah! What a goal! They scored the FA Cup goal! It's Yuri Tillemans! Be the one, please! Tillemans with a goal! They lead in the FA Cup final!
That was Ian Stringer on commentary for BBC at the weekend, and proper levels of excitement, as you would expect, for an absolute world-class goal from Yuri Tillemans. For a moment of history, I think that was the thing that came across in the coverage afterwards, where Lineker talked about being at games with his dad and all that kind of stuff. And as we were saying, the other thing that happened that made the FA Cup final so special was the fact that fans were back in the stadium, and so it really felt like it was a more important game in football than we had seen for such a long period of time. And I guess that was a bit of a throwback for those of us who grew up watching the FA Cup final and it meaning so much when we were kids as well. Ian Stringer, good morning to you. How are you?
Yeah, good lads. How are you?
We've just played the commentary of your goal. Spectacular stuff. I hope you've got brilliant feedback from it.
Yeah, it's gone down well in the city of Leicester. You know, when you've waited since 1884 for the football club to win the FA Cup, it was a long, long time, boys. So, yeah, it's gone down pretty well. What was strange was we were around fans. You know, it's all well and good having fans back in the ground, but when we were in a letterbox and they were all around us, and 14 months without fans to have them back caused a lot of noise, but I loved it.
If that's what you were like for Yuri Tillemans' goal, then how crazy did you go when Ben Chilwell celebrated and then had an own goal chalked off?
Yeah, I couldn't stop screaming it's offside, to be honest. I think we've counted, and I said it 5 times just to make sure that it sunk in, because you know, Wes Morgan had come on for Leicester City to try and mitigate Olivier Giroud, and that was great, but another half an hour, Wes Morgan admitted himself he probably had 10 minutes of first-team football left in him. So half an hour after that was going to be really hard for the Foxes. So to see that chalked off, rightly, by the way, lads, was a really good result.
What have the last few days been like in Leicester?
They've been like a whirlwind. You know, we've experienced similar before in 2016, but 2016 was over the course of 38 games, and we kind of saw it coming. You know, like in March, April and May, it was coming. So we had time to prepare for it. I think after the Chilwell scored that goal, we had 6 minutes to prepare for winning the FA Cup. So it's been one of bewilderment. It's been one of tremendous pride. I'll tell you what, boys, it's been one of pride in the club, but also in the owner, in Kuntop, who... How many football clubs can you see where the captain and the players beckon the owner down from the stand to come and hold the FA Cup and hoist it in front of them? You know, it's not lost on me that the Chelsea players were stood there with their arms folded and the bottom lips out. Fine, fair enough, because of the manner in which they lost. But that was a club who tried to get in bed with the European Super League just weeks before. Leicester City's owner was walking around the pitch and having scarves thrown at him, scarves that he paid for to give to the fans to go to the FA Cup final. A stark contrast, and there's tremendous pride in the city for the ownership and the ownership model of Leicester City.
He got to keep the cup on Saturday night and slept with it, I understand?
He did, yeah. I asked the manager yesterday. I asked Brendan Rodgers yesterday where it ended up, because I'm a bit weird like that. I'm kind of interested in the geography of the FA Cup. So great, you've won it, right? Someone's got to look after it. Like, who takes it Saturday night? Where is it now? Who is it? And he told me, he said he had the Kuntop had it on Saturday night and they're not sure when they're going to get it back, and he deserves it because, of course, boys, you remember that sadly in 2018 there was a tragic helicopter crash at the King Power, and his father, the late great Cumvishai Sri Watanaprapad, died. So, you know, to win it in his father's name, he can keep it all year if he wants.
It has been an incredible story from even before Ranieri to go back to surviving the Premier League and then winning the Premier League, and then, as you mentioned, the helicopter incident, and then the next generation of ownership coming on, and you know, staying involved and staying committed and doubling down. And now it seems like finding Brendan Rodgers at precisely the right moment, because this is a moment where if they win tonight, then it looks like Brendan Rodgers could be your manager for the next couple of years, and the investment will be there, and why would he ever leave? If they don't make Champions League football, you can see at some point Brendan Rodgers wanting to be in charge of a Champions League team again. But there's just this weird confluence of events that might mean that Leicester City could be that team.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd describe it as weird. With the utmost respect, I'd say it's been plotted and there's a strategy there to be in the Champions League spots, if indeed they can be after tonight. And you're quite right, it's going to be a difficult game against Chelsea, who will want and need revenge and need the points looking at the table. But I think there's a strategy there. They've moved to £100 million worth of training facility in Leicester and moved away from where they were. And they gave that training facility to the women's professional team, and they're thriving. They've just been promoted to the WSL, by the way. City's doing all right. Mark Selby's a world snooker champion, local boy. Tigers are in a final on Friday against Montpellier. But Brendan Rodgers is what Brendan Rodgers loves. He loves the owner. He loves Contop. Did you see the embrace with him at full time? That massive hug that they had. They adore each other. They got on well. And yeah, of course, if a massive club came in for Brendan Rodgers, then it'd be understandable that he might want to talk, but I'm talking really, really big clubs like Manchester City or Real Madrid or Barcelona. If smaller clubs than Leicester, like Arsenal or Spurs, came in for him, then why would he leave Leicester to go to somewhere like that? I don't understand why he would. Morning to all your Arsenal and Spurs listeners.
Shots fired.
The thing is,
but tell me I'm not right.
No, I think you're. I think, for example, 2 years ago, after Pochettino left, if at that stage somebody had offered Brendan Rodgers the Spurs gig, he might have been interested in it. But now, I think, when I mean the strange confluence of events, I don't mean Leicester City's strategic development. I'm saying that there's a period where Spurs are clearly in decline and in a bit of crisis. Their talisman has announced he wants to leave, but not officially. But it's now known that Harry Kane wants to leave. Liverpool have had a season of crisis where they've gone from being absolute dominant champions to a shambles at Anfield for 6 successive games. And on top of that, you have the situation at Chelsea where they had the wrong manager in charge and then they got the right manager in charge. And Leicester sneaked in. And if you get in there and you invest as well as Leicester have done, there's no reason why next season they wouldn't be able to challenge for top 4 again. I suppose that's what I'm saying, is that while they planned, they've actually been able to take advantage of the other teams having a bit of a collapse at the same time. And it's perfect timing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that sentiment entirely, that they've plotted slowly, they've plotted strategically. There's a plan there, and you know, it's not all about spending fortunes and fortunes and fortunes. It's about solid investment. Yuri Tillemans on Saturday, by the way, lads, what a finish. The first game back in 14 months for fans, and he puts that in the top bin. The end that the City fans are in. This is a player that Klopp well brought in fairness to him, on loan from Monaco, given Claude's connections to Monaco. And I think he made his Champions League debut, Yuri, at 16 or 17, a teenage boy. He's a Belgian first-team player. Leicester shop in different shops. You know, they're not in Harrods and Selfridges all the time. They'll go and find what they need to, where they need to. The scouting network and the recruitment network is brilliant, coupled with a really, really good academy. You know, look at Ben Chilwell, came through the academy, did very, very well, gone to Chelsea. Luke Thomas at the weekend, lads, 19 years old. 19 years old. The last goal at Filbert Street was scored in 2002, and you'll all remember Filbert Street like it was yesterday. He was born the year Filbert Street was ripped down. So, you know, they're plotting slowly, they're plotting quietly, they've got a great academy. Listen, it's hard to break into the top 4, the top 6 and do what they're doing, but you know, like that boxer that just won't go away. They're not only hanging in there, but they're working well behind their own jab, and we've found out they can land a few haymakers.
What was really interesting about the European Super League saga, Ian, was that it kind of exposed a lot of the owners and the chairman as people who are largely incompetent. And that's the one thing, while Kuntop seems like a really amazing man, he's also a really intelligent man. And the way the club has been run over the last few years, the investment in the local community, the academy, as you say, investing in talent that may be able to be sold on for a bigger fee or else taken to the Champions League. This is the sort of thing that actually a lot of the big clubs have sort of overlooked in recent years, with the exception of Manchester City. Yeah,
I agree. And actually, Leicester City they don't model themselves on Manchester City, but they have a lot of respect and a lot of ties with Manchester City. Manchester City had a Thai owner. Thaksin Shinawatra used to own Manchester City, and he was a very well-connected, he was Prime Minister, man in Thailand, and they looked and look at Manchester City very respectfully, actually, and look at their model. Of course, Manchester City's ownership model is very, very different, but the way in which the club is run and the classy nature of the club, and I think you're right that they're getting a lot of things right. They really are getting lots of things right. They're doing really, really well with the academy you've mentioned, and in the community. You know, people in the city love this guy, not only because he lost his dad, and that was tragic. You know, like, you got to remember, lads, there was an air disaster in our city. You know, a helicopter came down in the middle of our city, and he was on it, and that was tragic, and we all cried so badly. And to pick himself and the club up from that, to rebuild. I saw him in the temple in Thailand at his dad's funeral, and because I went to Thailand for the funeral, and he was devastated, and he was meeting and greeting all of the thousands of people that were coming into the temple, and there was a steely determination about him when I spoke to him about Leicester City. You know, that this was my dad's thing, and I want to carry that on, and that's what he's doing, and they're giving back. They're doing fine, and you're right. Well, they need to just get the right things right. You know, being nice is nice. It's nice to be nice, like giving fans scarves and making sure that you try and do things in a nice way, in a classy way, remembering players and talking about the history, talking about the past, and just having an element of humility about them. And I think that just stands them in good stead, as you say. When the European Super League kicked off, Leicester City, I think, came through that very, very well. Let me remind you, there was one club in the Premier League that voted against the price bracket for the pay-per-view TV during lockdown. Do you remember that argument about 15 quid a game to watch a live game? There was one club that voted against that. That was Leicester City. That was Susan Whelan, very, very strong chief executive, who said, no, I'm not having it. I'm voting against it. And she did. So there's some strength in the boardroom. And there's some strength on the pitch. They're doing fine. They've got a long, long way to go. And what's the next step? Can they break into the top four permanently? What does it take, etc., etc.? But they're the FA Cup holders, so happy days.
Well, the evidence is there now, Ian, already that, yes, they can show incredible success and then back it up a few years later. Like, the 2016 team is largely being phased out. I mean, Albright and Vardy, and as you mentioned there, Wes Morgan with his last 10 minutes of professional football. This season, the question was always going to be around Jamie Vardy and what will Leicester ever do after they lose him? Kelechi Iheanacho has suddenly been regenerated at the football club, and that surely is one of the most exciting things about this club, that they've kind of already done this. They've gone from winning the FA Cup or winning the Premier League to 5 years later, deservedly winning the FA Cup and possibly finishing in the top four.
Yeah, and now they've just got to plot for the next 5 years to win the Champions League, lads, haven't they? So, you see, you laugh, and you fight, because I laugh.
It's going to happen, though, isn't it?
Laughs. But mate, I would have laughed 6 years ago if you told me Leicester City would win the Premier League, because they were near bottom, and the greatest escape, they went on and survived. So to have done what they've done, but they've got to plot their next move closely, haven't they, and difficult with Jamie Vardy, because as much as they've got Kelechi Iheanacho and he's playing well and he's doing well and he's progressing, let it be known Jamie Vardy is the best ever at Leicester City. He's the greatest ever. Replacing him is going to be nigh on impossible, so it's going to be a difficult task. He'll be around for Champions League football next year, God willing, and yeah, he's talismanic. He's a top player. By the way, lads, do you know last week I ran to Wembley from Leicester?
No. How far is that?
Yeah, 94 miles. I left on Monday and arrived on Saturday. It's just a brief one. We had a caller on the air called Rodgers, told about his dad. 1949, got a ticket, went to the cup final, Leicester Wolves, Leicester lost. He cycled, came out of Wembley, his bike had been nicked. In 1949, there were no Ubers, so he had to walk home. He walked back to Leicester, had him on the air. Came off the air, my gaffer said, if you can walk in 1949, you can run it in 2021. So on Monday, I set out from the King Power Stadium, 20 miles day one, 21 miles day two, 20 miles day three, in between going to Old Trafford to report on the Leicester game, by the way, 14 miles day four, 14 miles day five, and then 5 miles finishing down Wembley Way on match day. We've raised 21.5 grand for the Vishai Foundation. If anybody's interested, justgiving.com /run to Wembley, or check me out on Twitter @StringerSport. I ran to Wembley to try and raise a few quid and bring back the FA Cup, and that went okay as well.
Yeah, good stuff. Replacing Jamie Vardy might be a little bit easier with an extra 90 to 150 million in their pockets. Are they going to qualify for the Champions League? What's going to happen tonight?
Yeah, they'll qualify for the Champions League. I think they'll beat Chelsea tonight, actually. I saw Chelsea, they were dejected on the pitch, boys, you saw on Saturday. I wonder about the mental effect that's had on them 72 hours later. Tuchel's going to be spewing. He's going to send them back out to really have a go, and the players will be as well. But Leicester, I think, have maybe got the mindset over them. Leicester, no, win tonight and it's done. It's a procession against Spurs at home with your fans and the FA Cup. Win tonight, lads, and you've done it. And what motivation. Top class motivation. So I think Leicester will win. I think they will qualify for the Champions League. It's not written, it's not done, and nobody's being cocky around here, but I think they'll manage it. I think they'll do it, and then what a summer of recruitment they've then got to get a Champions League squad, chaps.
Ian, good stuff. Looks like it could be a very